All right. Hello. This is my sports marketing. Stop it. Hello. Fuck, I don't know how to do this right. Hello. Hello. Okay. All right. So I'll cut this probably. All right, here we go. Hi. So this is my sports marketing final presentation. It's about all the different case studies or essays, weekly assignments that we had throughout the year. And I learned a lot of different things about the profession that I worked in this past summer. So starting off with career goals and target market. This summer, I chose to do the internship that I worked to work with the Erie Seawolves. There's a picture of me and the staff there on the left. So I worked in game day event operations this past summer. I worked different events with different companies like birthday parties, planning, setups, and pretty much everything that you can do on a game day to help someone make sure they have a great time when they plan an event. I decided that this would be my career goal since I was familiar with the industry. So long term, working in either a collegiate or professional sports environment would be amazing. I really don't have a preference with sport or what league. So the target market, the interesting thing about this profession is it varies from event to event because you can't rely on one specific target market to define like your all your business. Like you can't book the same company 20 times in one sports season. It might just be one time. So you have to be very flexible in appealing to different target markets and stuff like that. And these target markets could be local sports fans, a company looking to host their summer outing for their employees, or like a family get together, birthday party, reunion, any type of thing. So, with the revenue stream and the potential risk, so the revenue stream comes from ticket sales, merchandise sales, and concession sales. And how that works is when you have an event, it's based on a ticket package that you offer to the consumer. And then you have the potential to include merchandise, or they can bring some of their own merchandise to like promote their company if it's a business, or they could just buy merchandise in the team store while they're there. And then concession sales, certain events are catered by the team. So they'll pay a fee to have a buffet style food and drinks and drink tickets at the event. But sometimes they don't do that and they just book the space. So then those concession sales just come from like normal food concessions at a game. So about some potential risk options, natural risk. I worked in baseball, so I chose this example, weather. So rain delays, rainouts, whether it's really windy or cold, people might cancel their event or stuff like that. And then for other sports besides baseball that are like indoors, it could be like a severe snowstorm or like a tornado warning or something that prevents them from actually traveling. So then you have to get into some consumer relations and help them make up their event. Human risk, employee mistakes or dishonesty. So dishonesty didn't really happen when I was working this summer, but it can happen by like if you lie to the group that's booking that they're going to get certain features they end up don't getting, and then they become very angry. They definitely won't book again, and maybe some bad PR for other companies who are looking to book an event. And then employee mistakes. All employees make mistakes. It happens. I made several this summer. You just have to know how to come back from that and make sure you make it up to the customer and explain the situation. So economic risk, changing costs of providing services, the costs for food, like the material and clothing that you're selling, it all fluctuates throughout the year. So you could have some price changes in like the event cost or concession costs. And you just have to be able to explain that to customers and consumers or people who are booking, like, why is this going up year after year? And it's just like, we can't control the economy. So that's just a risk that it might price out certain people. So some competitors in target market. So the two main competitors for game day events specifically are TV viewership and obviously TV viewership when they're watching it at home, they're watching the game, they're not in the arena or the stadium participating in your event. And then the other events is other events that are going on in the city. So take, for example, Pittsburgh. If you're trying to book an event for the Pirates, you might have a Steelers game or a Penguins game or a concert going on at the same time, and people may choose to like spend their money elsewhere. So that's why you really have to lock down and be able to segment your market. And the main idea is to have events catered towards different types of people. So a couple examples of that is this summer we did like a $2 Thursday, which is $2 hot dogs and beer to kind of target the college market. And then on Sundays, it would be like a family themed event, like kids run the bases after the game. They get to come on the field and throw the baseball around with their parents. So just being able to like have events catered like specifically to people so they come on that specific day. And you're never going to be able to keep everybody happy. Like if you're having a $2 Thursday, probably parents are going to bring their kids that day because they don't want them around a bunch of drunk college kids. But then Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon at like 12:30, that's the perfect time for families. So you just have to make sure that there can be an option for everybody at some point throughout the season. So some niche travel and international audiences. Niche travel using different aspects of a city included in a travel package. The example, when I was doing these throughout the semester, I came up with, I'm an Orlando Magic fan for basketball, doing like a ticket package centered around also tickets to Walt Disney World and the hotel, and it's all included in one. So you kind of get the fan coming in, not just for the game, but the whole experience of the city of Orlando, and encouraging like people who come from out of town to make like a weekend trip of coming out to games, because not only do you get the ticket sales and the food sales of the actual game or event, but then like the surrounding areas, surrounding restaurants, hotels, and travel services, whether you're like the subway in Boston, if they come up for a weekend, like it helps out the whole like local economy. And then international audiences, I was focusing on tailoring marketing around players like nationalities. For example, in double A, baseball where I worked this summer, there's a lot of players with like Latino descent. So like in all of the leagues. So the MILB league came up with the idea of a Copa La Diversion Day, where teams wear special uniforms, different music is played, and different food options are offered in the stadium. So kind of tailing around like the players that they have and being proud of their culture and kind of trying to get a new market or new segment of fans to come to the game. And this is very commonly seen with the Dodgers. They have a lot of Japanese players like Otani and Yamamoto, so they cater a lot to this country of Japan, and they get a lot of business that way because they do it very effectively. So personal selling and working with groups. Personal selling, it can be very helpful when selling to new customers or like a new company when you're trying to book an event. So part of my job was I didn't do any of these myself, but I was taught how to do them. It's a sales call. So you make a call to a company and you're pretty much just like, hey, we see you guys have never hosted with us before. We're trying to get you in for an event. Like, what would be a good date? What are you guys interested in? And that is very time consuming, but it's very beneficial into drawing in new consumers, because then if you bring in a new group and they have a great time, they're going to be like, I already want to book my spot for next year. And that really just helps up locking up sales long term. And then working with groups are essential to the game day event management industry. Without groups, the industry wouldn't really exist. It's all about getting groups of people together to book an event or book a luxury box, book a picnic area, order food, do it for a birthday party. Without groups and without being able to work with them in different kinds of groups, the industry, it wouldn't be possible. So brand positioning and product mix is next. So brand positioning, offering unique experiences that other teams can't replicate. This can be used depending on like what city the team is from. For example, Erie, we have pepperoni balls, and you probably don't, no one probably even knows what they are unless you're from Erie. But they have specific jerseys catered towards pepperoni balls because it's like this a staple food in Erie, and they sell them at the stadium. So no other team in double A or in the Seawolves division, they could replicate that. So they kind of played to their strengths there by using that as kind of a thing like, hey, you want to come to a game, get a pepperoni ball, try it you've never had before, see some good baseball in a beautiful ballpark. So then product mix, wide variety of tangible and intangible assets. Tangible would be just merchandise and concessions and stuff like that. Intangible could be the experience of the game or people you meet at the game, anything like that that the team does not directly provide. But that's the beauty of sports, is it opens up so many doors for relationships. You can meet so many people and have such a good time and have a different experience at every sporting event that you go to. So changing distribution channels and viewing options. Uh, there's constantly changing distribution channels due to changing sponsors. An example of this could be like if in between different innings in baseball, there's different events at every single game. For example, we had a Moe's like race with kids. They were dressed in like burrito costumes. But what if Moe's decided they didn't want to sponsor that next year and they didn't want to pay the fee? Then there would have to be a new sponsor to come in. So the distribution channels are always changing for like the major sponsors of these everyday events. And then the viewing options, there's three main types of viewing options for sports: TV, radio, and in person. TV, there's a bunch of different like sub networks, like whether you're going to stream it, whether you're going to have cable TV, stuff like that. Radio, kind of old school, but it still works. And then obviously in person is the only one that makes a massive difference in the industry, because in order to participate in the event, the people actually have to be there in the stadium or arena. So utilizing PR and sponsors, PR is having a constant press release to build a positive relationship with local news stations. You do that by partnering with certain charities. I know every game we had a line of tables behind home plate that had different local companies trying to sponsor, and all they had to do was book. We didn't charge them for that. They just paid for their tickets, and then they got to set up a table. So that builds good press, saying like, hey, you can come here, promote your business, and it's well known around the community that you can draw on some good business. Anyone who walks by will see that table. And also just giving constant updates about the team and events with local news stations or social media to make sure fans keep involved and updated. This provides like good free advertising and gives good PR to publicize the actual event. So sponsors, I think of food and beverage, the official Bud Light, like Bud Light's the official sponsor, beer sponsor of the NFL. And you could have a clothing sponsor for merchandise. I think of the NHL with Fanatics, like they have the jersey rights. So all the jerseys are Fanatics jerseys. And then companies sponsoring specific events. So several times over the summer, we had Erie Insurance, which is one of the biggest insurance company in Erie. They had different events in the picnic area for their employees, and that was like the Erie Insurance Day. There would be 100 employees from that company would come in and come to a game, and it happened like 3 times throughout the summer. And it's just their way of rewarding their employees, and it's really beneficial that they chose to do it like with us at the Seawolves and in the stadium itself. Okay, so smart objectives and HR responsibilities. Smart objectives, like attainable and measurable. It could be like sales goals and numbers. Sorry, my allergies. So for sales goals, at the beginning of the year for all companies, there's a sales goal set with how much money they want to make from events specifically, like directly, like cost of ticket price and cost of admission. So these goals are set at the beginning of the year, and they need to be attainable in order for the sellers like me and people who work the events to feel like they can actually complete it. And measurable sales numbers throughout the year. They're constantly updated on an Excel sheet in the office, and it just shows you how you're doing. If you're behind, if you need to make a big sale, then you can track if you do make a big sale, how much it contributed to your goal. And it just really keeps the vibes and the energy up in the room to kind of see it progressing throughout the season. And then HR responsibilities. If you My boss, he had to maintain employee responsibilities and hours. So every day we'd come in 2 hours before the game and we'd get a rundown of what we're doing for the game specifically, whether you were in the kids area, whether you were working a event in the picnic area, or you were helping hand out drink tickets, like pretty much anything you could think of when it comes to these events. But someone has to plan out and manage all of these responsibilities, and also just basic hours, making sure too many people aren't scheduled on the same day and vice versa. So, a licensing example and a non-compete clause. Licensing companies license certain products for exclusive events. I already mentioned the NHL. They do this a lot. Fanatics, they have a deal with them. They do all the jerseys. That's the only major league that Fanatics does the jerseys for. And they can also license products for specific events that I work in. So, the minor league as a whole, I already mentioned they did Copa La Diversion which was promoting growth in the Latino community. And if a company wants to host an event during a game, they can give out a product there. In a non-compete, exclusive rights to all products in an industry. You see this with Fanatics. You see this with Nike in basketball. In baseball, I'm pretty sure it's also Nike. I'm not 100% on that, so don't take my word for it. But it's pretty much just it gives that brand the exclusive rights to all products within the industry, and no other brand can replicate them. So some final thoughts. This industry was super fun when I worked in it this summer, and that's why I decided to use it as my dream job, even though I'm not totally sure what I want to go into yet. But my dream job would be just to work in sports. But I knew the industry and I had a lot of fun. So I figured to do some more research on how that industry actually competes with or connects to the course content. And I had a lot of fun with it throughout the semester. So thank you for a great semester, Professor Gratz, and I'll see you next year.